Sergeant Nicholas Patterson of Rochester was killed on September 10th in an accident while his team was returning from a raid in western Baghdad. Like many people in the Army, Nick was a spectacular athlete. A 2001 graduate of Rochester High School, he led his basketball team in scoring his senior year, and in Indiana, that's quite an accomplishment. He played second base for the baseball team, proudly wearing number 10 in both sports. His former teacher, Rob Malchow, said, Nick had such an outgoing personality. He had so much energy, you couldn't help to get to know him. When he joined the Army, shortly after graduation from high school, he set his sights on becoming a paratrooper. He was thrilled to become a member of the storied 82nd Airborne Division and treasured the camaraderie of his men and his brothers. His widow, Jamie, said Nick was very, very proud to be part of the unit he was in. Nick described it as a high-speed team. Fellow soldier Sergeant Blake Bagby noted Nick could always be counted to pick you up and make you smile. His concern for his fellow soldiers and his friends will be missed by all. Nick and Jamie shared their love with their 4-year-old son Riley, and he valued the daily contact with his family by phone, email, and even webcam from Iraq. He made sure to email Jamie every day. And the last thing he said in every email he sent her were the 3 words, I love you. He's close to his dad, Jim, whom he affectionately called Pops. Father and son shared a love of the Chicago Cubs, a difficult passion under any circumstances, the Indianapolis Colts, IU basketball, and fishing in Neona Lake. Everyone in Nick's family continues to mourn his loss. His mom and stepdad, Jane and Scott Holmes, his stepmom, Virginia Patterson, sister Ty, and stepbrother Kyle McLaughlin, as well as the entire close-knit community of Rochester. Mr. Speaker, our most recent loss in Indiana's 2nd Congressional District occurred less than 2 weeks ago, when Army Captain Tim McGovern of Idaville, Indiana, was killed October 31st while serving in Mosul, Iraq. Tim was leading his troops in a mission clearing the roads of IEDs when his group came under fire and his truck was hit by a roadside bomb. After moving to Idaville as a teen, Tim graduated from Twin Lakes High in 1997, where he excelled in honors classes and was a star in both football and track. Even at that point, it was clear that Tim was going to do with his life, as his former football coach commented, this young man was made for the Army. It didn't surprise me at all when he joined the armed forces, and also when he became an officer. That was just the kind of guy he was, born to lead. It probably didn't surprise anyone, for a career in the Army was in Tim's blood. Just a year before he graduated from high school, his dad, Bill, retired from the Army, having achieved the rank of lieutenant colonel. Tim started on that path immediately following high school when he joined ROTC while attending Purdue University. Less than 2 years after his graduation from Purdue in 2001, Tim set off to serve the first of his 2 tours of duty in Iraq. He was on his very first tour when the war in Iraq started, and when he came home, he did not hesitate to do another, according to his Uncle Mike. Although Tim was in the process of buying a home in El Paso, Texas, his heart remained with his family in Idaville and with the Chicago Bears. During his second duty in Iraq, Tim was given a 2-week pass to return home to the United States. He made sure to return home for the Super Bowl, and Tim's parents will never forget the very last moments they spent at home with their beloved son. Tim was a Bears fan from the word go, his mom Janelle said. In Indiana, he was one of the very few rooting for the Bears. He and his grandfather together. That's going to stay in our minds forever. If his heart was with his family, his passion and purpose was with the Army. As captain of a 90-member company, Tim showed exemplary dedication to his duties and to the safety and well-being of his men. His mom noted, Tim said the thing he was most proud of was that he had never sent anybody home injured, and that nobody had been killed from his group. To him, that meant he was doing his job and taking care of his men. Safety did not mean staying away from where the action was in his area. He assumed command of Company E from Captain Tim Hudson, who observed, "We both chose to go to El Paso and Fort Bliss, and we both came here for the same reason, and that was to come out here and command soldiers. Keep an eye out for them and protect them and bring them home safely." Having commanded Company E for 20 months, Captain Hudson could only praise Tim's work upon assuming command in June. "I put my heart and soul into this company," Hudson said, "and after Tim took over, Echo Company only got better." What was Tim's secret to being such an excellent commander? He may well have shared it with First Lieutenant Michael Holbrook. "He told me there was no greater honor than leading American soldiers. I'm going to remember that until the day I hang up my uniform." The button Sean Hensel's mother Beth wore after his death read, "Our Hero, 1987 to 2007. Our hero. This is most certainly what Sean was now and is now. This is what all of these men are to all of us in this country. We are used to speaking of young men as having lives full of promise and possibility. But all of these young men put their promise and possibility on the line in service to their country. For that, we honor them as heroes. But we are also left with their absence. Nicholas Patterson's dad, Jim, expressed the paradox well. "I'm so proud. He is my hero. But it hurts so much." This is the truth for those families, for all of those that love these young men and so many more in our country. By their sacrifice, these men and the women who share duty with them are all heroes. But that does not erase the pain of all of us who mourn their loss. At this time, I would like to conclude by saying how grateful we are to have had them with us during their brief lives, and we will never forget them. God bless America.